Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's event, the intro to the gaming industry event. We are going to get things kicked off here in just a couple of minutes, but before we officially start the presentation, I just want to make sure everybody is familiar with a few things. So first off, in the bottom right corner, you can see the chat log. I can see people are saying hello over there, so it looks like people have found the chat log, which is perfect. Right beside the chat log, there's a questions tab. So at the end of this presentation here today, we are going to do some live Q&A with the guest speakers. So feel free to put questions in the questions tab. If we don't answer them right away, it's intentional. We want to wait until the end so that we can do them together as a group. But utilize the chat tab. You can interact with us at Circuit Stream. You can interact with the guest speakers through the chat and obviously with each other. And then beside that, we also have a polls tab down there. So the polls tab is open. I actually posted one in there already, and I'm going to do my best to remember to drop a couple more of those in a little bit later in the presentation, likely when one of the speakers is talking and I get an opportunity to kind of jump in and share that information with you there. So, and lastly, the reacts are activated. So I see lots of thumbs up coming through. I see smiley faces. I see yes, perfect. So utilize those throughout the presentation. Let the speakers know how you're feeling, interact with what they're saying. If they ask a question, feel free to give a thumbs up using that there. And I'm also going to take a moment here to share a few links with everybody in the chat while we're waiting for people to join in here. So in advance to this session, I actually sent out some emails and some links for everybody. I am going to share some of those right now. So this would be for UBC, the game development and the game design syllabus downloads. So if anybody's looking at course information through UBC, feel free to click and request one of those. The same microphone as me, awesome, the HyperX. Yeah, I love this one. So that's for UBC. And again, this is just for the syllabus downloads. So basically you go in, you fill in your name information, and then they will send a copy of the syllabus directly to your email. So just to share some course information with everybody here. This is for U of T. So this would be the game development and game design links there for the two syllabi, I should say. And then for U of A, we offer the game development course solely, not the design. So this would be the link here for the syllabus for the U of A course. So feel free, I'm probably going to send out an email to everybody post-event either today or tomorrow with another option to include the syllabus or some course information there. But go ahead and download that now. Also, yes, I'll talk about networking events for U of T peeps afterwards, absolutely. But also for today's session, there's going to be a lot of stats and a lot of information shared in the slides. So don't worry about trying to write everything down, and you don't have to worry about that. We are going to send out a recording of this full event to everybody after the session today. So I'll repeat that a few times throughout the session as people join. But for anybody who's here right now, you don't have to worry about taking a ton of notes. You can kind of sit back and relax, and we will send you that information afterwards there. So. And I can also invite everybody to join or to share in the chat, I should say, where everyone is joining from. I am joining here from Alberta, Calgary, myself, originally from Niagara Falls. So I'm an Ontario kid. I moved out to BC. I lived in a little teeny tiny mountain in a little teeny tiny town, sorry, in the mountains, and in Field was the name of it. If anybody's ever heard of Field, BC, it's like 130 people or something in the mountains. And now I'm in Calgary. I've been here for probably about 10 or so years. So small town in Alberta, I saw that go flying by, but I see lots. Toronto, Alberta, BC, Alberta, Toronto, Alberta. Amazing. Another Calgary. Hello in Calgary. Awesome. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining for today's session. I think it's going to be an awesome session. To set the pace for today's session as well, by the end of the event, you're going to have heard from some amazing speakers today. I'm going to share information about the XR and the game development and design boot camps for everybody, the courses that we have through the universities, and I'm going to share some current promotion available or some current promotion information that is available with everybody as well. So without that, or with all that being said, I am going to go ahead and get the presentation kicked off here. So let me make this screen bigger because we don't need to see my face as big here. It's more important to see this stuff. And I will start off here. So my name is Tyler Trapp. I have worked at Circuit Stream here for just over 2.5 years. I am the marketing events manager for the company here. I am a video game enthusiast, I always like to say. And before working here, before COVID, actually, I worked in travel and tourism for about 10 plus years. So switched over to education and to technology during COVID, which was the best decision I've ever made. So we will have two guest speakers here today joining us. They're not going to come up on stage quite yet, but the first will be Vini Diaz, capture lead, or IT lead at Electronic Arts. He's going to be joining on the stage in a few minutes to share his stories, his tips, and advice on how to uncover different types of roles within the industry while utilizing your development and design skill sets that you would get through courses like the boot camps that we offer here. So the second speaker will be Rich Welsh. Rich is lead programmer at Ubisoft Toronto, joining us following Vini. He's going to share his story and provide us with his tips and tricks as well. So two amazing speakers. I'll have them up in just a few minutes. Before I invite them up, I'm going to kick off this presentation by providing a little bit of a brief overview of who CircuitStream is. So CircuitStream began in 2015 through a network of developers, designers, and creators who are pioneering the virtual and augmented reality ecosystem. CircuitStream saw a need for education and training that would empower people to build Unity and XR applications and advance the industry's frontiers. We now partner with industry-leading companies and leading educational institutions to offer courses and training to those looking to learn more about emerging technologies such as XR and game development and game design. That's a little bit about us here. Today's event focus is a little bit more on game development and game design, but I did want to take a moment to highlight the Canadian XR industry as well, since we do provide 10-week courses in XR development and in XR design through all of our Canadian university partners. So the XR industry is a hotbed for technology innovation with many large companies and research institutions dedicated to advancing XR technologies. You can see some of the stats on screen right here. And again, this whole presentation will be shared with everybody following the event today. So don't worry about writing all this down. We will share this information with everybody. Also, I'm just getting over that lovely cold that everybody across Canada seems to have gotten in the last week or 2 weeks. So if I mute periodically just to clear my throat, I do apologize, but I'd rather do it than cough in everybody's ear here. So now on to the Canadian gaming industry, which has expanded significantly in recent years. There are over 32,000 employees and 900 active game studios, which is a 35% increase since just 2019, which is insane. Not only that, the game industry contributed to over $5 billion in Canada's GDP. That's a 29% increase in just the last 4 years. So just a little bit on the Canadian gaming industry. Becoming a game developer or designer can be an incredibly rewarding career for individuals who are passionate about gaming, and for those who have a flair for creative and interactive experiences, problem solving, and for technology in general. On screen, you can see some of the top reasons why people would choose to work as game developers and as game designers. And for opportunities as a game designer, you'll have the power to shape exciting new games. The average salary in Canada for game designer is $119,000 per year, according to talent.com. There are a range of job titles in this field, but we've added some examples like game designer, level designer, systems designer, so on and so forth. Vinny is actually going to share in his presentation some additional opportunities and maybe some other titles that are a little bit outside of this box. You know, when people go through courses for game development and game design, they immediately go for the roles that are titled game development, game design. But the reality is there's a whole bunch of different roles that those skill sets would be applicable for. So Vinny's going to share a little bit of that in his presentation. As a game developer, you'll have the opportunity to build and develop end user games and applications. The average salary for a game developer in Canada is $100,000 per year, according to talent.com. There are a range of job titles in this field, like I said, for game design, but some examples on the screen, you know, game developer, game engineer, game programmer, so on and so forth. But overall, you can see now is an absolutely amazing time to get into this industry. I'm going to share some information on all 4 courses available through the Canadian University partners. But first, I just wanted to quickly mention that we do have a fantastic November special promotion available. And this is in partnership with all of the universities here. So it would be 15% off. So if anybody's looking to sign up for any of the upcoming cohorts, I'll share some information on that later, you know, the start dates that we have. And as long as we have seats available, we would be able to accept new applications for these courses with the 15% off. So just wanted to quickly mention that there. The first course I'm going to introduce here for the presentation today is the 10-week XR Development with Unity course. It is taught live, it's beginner-friendly, it's project-based and delivered online. In fact, all of our courses are considered to be beginner-friendly, project-based, and delivered online. This course is designed for those interested in starting their journey into XR development. It has both synchronous and asynchronous weekly projects and assignments, and students would complete this course with an XR developer certification. So again, I know the main focus on the event today is on game development and game design. But I just wanted to as well include the XR development and XR design course information because there's quite a bit of overlap there. And we have a lot of students interested in game development and design who also are interested in XR development and design. So in terms of the design course, the 10-week course is formatted pretty similarly to the development course. It has both synchronous and asynchronous weekly projects and assignments, and there are also 8 hours of classwork and 5 office hours per week. This course is meant for those interested in starting their journey into XR design, and students would complete this course with an XR designer certification. Now on to the gaming industry and the gaming courses. So our 30-week Unity Game Development Bootcamp has 10 hours of class per week. It has 5 hours of live lectures, technical and career labs, and weekly office hours. This bootcamp is designed for those interested in learning coding, Unity, and game development. It teaches students how to create immersive digital worlds and bring imaginative game concepts to life. This course is beginner friendly, but is best suited for those with a little bit of Unity experience, which you can easily gain in any of our 10-week courses, or you can gain outside of it. There's absolutely resources out there that would prepare you with enough Unity knowledge to be able to start this beginner friendly bootcamp. Students complete the course with a Unity developer certification. With this course, you also get an added level of certification. You get Unity Associate Programmer certification. Basically, we include that in the cost of the course. And then once you've completed the bootcamp itself, you would go to Unity's website and you would write that exam to receive the second level of certification through Unity. But we're also partnered with Unity, and our certification is Unity backed as well. And then our 30-week game design bootcamp also has 10 hours of class per week, 5 hours of live lectures, technical and career labs, and weekly office hours. This bootcamp is designed for those interested in learning game design. It teaches students how to create captivating worlds, unique gameplay mechanics, and how to bring your creative visions to life. So students would complete this course with a game designer certification. Now, speaking of our 30-week game boot camps, I would like to invite Circuit Stream Student Outcome Manager One Eye on stage for just a few minutes to share some information on our career development program that is included in these boot camps. So welcome, One Eye.
Thank you so much, Tyler. All right, so our boot camps include career services and monthly labs, as well as one-on-one coaching for the development of soft skills and job search assistance. Our 30-week boot camps also come with additional career support and guidance. And these include writing resumes and cover letters, dedicated pitch and networking events, crafting a digital portfolio, job search navigation, preparing for interviews, salary negotiations, among other topics. And also, our Circuit Stream Career Labs teach students how to leverage technical and behavioral strengths, gain awareness of the Unity digital ecosystem, create compelling portfolios, elevate digital presence, learn how to network effectively, and become interview ready for industry jobs. Our career and networking support really sets these programs apart from others that you may find. Every student has different objectives coming in, but those who are looking for new jobs or to improve their current positions, they really find this aspect of the course incredibly helpful. And we also wanted to shout out this specific networking event, Pitch Day, which happens towards the end of the program, where you can showcase your capstone project to hiring and industry partners. This event is great to add people to your network, be considered for any job openings that they may have, or just to get feedback on your projects from hiring managers in the industry.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, One Eye, for sharing that information with us. One Eye will be in the chat here. I believe she will be anyway. So if anybody has any questions about the career support portion of the game development bootcamp, about the game design bootcamp, you're welcome to put it in the questions tab, or you can just interact with One Eye directly in the chat log here as well. So And I can see some questions coming in. When did the boot camp start? What is the pricing information? I've got all that included in the presentation here for you guys. We're going to let the guest speakers come up in a minute and share their presentations. And then once they're finished, I'll let you everybody know the upcoming start dates. I'll share the pricing information, the promo information, all of that good stuff there. So I promise it's coming. So without further ado, I am going to invite the first speaker up on stage here. So Vini Diaz is the Capture IT lead for Electronic Arts in Vancouver. He is an inspiring human who made an impressive career shift from a police officer in Brazil to his current role in Vancouver. Vini empowers inspiring individuals to achieve their goals and to make positive impacts within the industry. So welcome, Vini.
Thank you, Tyler. Welcome, everyone. I think I have some valuable knowledge to share with you guys. I'm so excited to see we have almost 250 people here. So a lot of new blood coming to the industry, right? And I'm so happy to be here and have this opportunity to talk with you guys. English is not my first language. It's actually my third. So I will try my best to pass on my message. And I hope you guys enjoy my presentation. Okay, let's get started. Let me share my screen. So, my name is Vini Diaz. I'm the IT capture lead for Electronic Arts. I did a lot of stuff to come to this position, and I know how you guys are feeling now, but I have some things that I can share with you guys that will make this journey easier. And I'm working on recently I'm working on EAFC 24 and on FIFA 23, and I'm already working on EAFC 25. So this industry, you have to work a lot here, and the games needs a long time to be done. We need a lot of people working at the same time, and the path that you guys choosing to choose the industry is not easy. But I think we can make some paths easier to reach. Okay. So the first question that I want to ask you guys is if you guys know the game that I show you guys right now. And another question that I want to bring before I start my presentation is what kind of this skill set the gaming industry is looking for. Have you guys ever asked this question for yourselves? The gaming industry is huge, so I think we should look for every opportunity that our knowledge can be applied. So we need to think out of the box and not only on the core roles. So this is the way that I took, and it worked for me. And also, we need to think that we are here to bring solution to the problems. We are not different from the other professionals. We need to bring solution to the problems. That's the way that we're going to be able to join the industry. If you bring a solution to problems, you probably will get hired. And always, keys. Remember, keep it simple, and it will work out. So, do you guys know this game? This is basically the EAFC 24, and this is like an Instagram post. So we made this post a couple of months ago, and this game was under development. But of course, to sell a game, we need to make sure that we can sell it, but it's under development. So what you have here is basically a problem, right? But we still need to sell the game, and of course, the game developers, the programmers are still working the game, and the game is not looking really good yet because we always have a lot of adjustment to do, but the marketing is waiting for the game. So this is like opportunity that I found out. It's not working on the game. I was of course, like you guys, looking for knowledge, to code, to work on development, to work on the RC side, modeling, and everything. But the industry is huge and has a space for everyone, and not only on the core roles. So marketing is a really interesting role, and we have a lot of things that we can do. For example, to make these screenshots of the videos and everything. We have like the cinematics. We have like we need engineers, programmers, and other people to create tools, to camera tools, lens, and a lot of stuff to make the game looks better to be able to sell to the clients, né? To the players. So this is like another approach that I want to show you guys, that the game is not only the core development, but it has a lot of areas that you can apply. So what I did, I searched on the LinkedIn for jobs and positions that were open, and like few people applied for that, and also the knowledge needed for the was different. So basically, I was like building my knowledge to be a game developer, but I was like, oh, people like the industry is having bad times when they're trying to find people that can develop camera tools and other stuff. So I'm basically going where people are not going, like where everyone is like looking for to be a game developer or something like this. Of course, the competition for these positions will be bigger. So I was looking for some direction there. I had like less people looking for. So so this is the kind of thing that I want to share. Like, we need tools and code and development professionals for multiple areas of the industry. So basically, it's the same knowledge, but you are basically getting a specialization on something that it can be used in other areas. So open your mind to other positions that are out of the core thing, like or the level design or the game development itself. And most of the candidates are looking to apply to the same roles, because I'm dreaming like, oh, I will make my own game and I'm going to present to the directors of the company X, and they will really like, and I'll do the game like in my mind, like I had the perfect game in my head. And it's not like this. Like, they already have problems. They already have plans for 5 or 10 years, and you're gonna be like one professional there who help them to solve these problems. And they need a lot of different kinds of professionals. And if you are one of these professionals, you have this set of skills, you're gonna get in the industry. So I wanna show you guys a video of like of how we applied the cinematics technology, and also the technology that I told you guys, like the camera programming, the depth of field, and everything to make the game better even before the launch. So this video that I'm going to show you guys can be a little choppy, because I'm sharing the screen with a lot of people, but I hope you guys see that. Let me try, guys. Give me 1 second. I can try to paste the YouTube video. It's looking good, guys. How? Amazing. So back to my presentation. So this is the kind of thing that we can make, and like we talked a lot with the devs, and they made. You can see like on that video that they made a lot of new mechanics to the EFC 24, but they need like other people with tech knowledge to make it happen, right? To show the players how we can. Oh, hey, the devs are making new mechanics to put in the game, so we are using the same Frostbite engine to make it look good and in a way that the players can see what's happening. So there's a thing that there's a problem, right? We had a problem there, and I of course I myself and my team gave them a solution. We can make it look good. So this is the kind of stuff that are trying to open our minds to check. Like, so I will talk a little bit about my path, how I did it, my way to be a tech lead, and I hope you guys like. I hope you guys like getting inspired by that. So I was like Tyler said, I was a police officer back in Brazil. I'm 35 years old now. I'm Brazilian. I moved to Canada 3 years ago. I work in special forces back in Brazil. And in Canada, I did everything you guys can imagine. Like I made cabinets, I work on Tim Hortons, glazing donuts. Like I usually to wake up like 3 a.m. to be to be on the Tim Hortons to bake stuff for people. So yeah, I did DoorDash, and I did a lot of stuff definitely. And if I did it, you guys can do it as well. And you guys have the best opportunities, like attend a boot camp. That's amazing to build a fast knowledge and build the knowledge that the industry needs. I didn't have money to pay at that time because I was like I just arrived in Canada, but this opportunity is so amazing, guys. Take it like with all your strength and like make the discourse worth at the maximum level you can. So what I did, like I learned how to code how to code on my free hours. On my free time, I studied code in game development. I had the dreams you guys have, like that you work in the industry, in the gaming industry. Oh, sorry. And I believe it was impossible, but as the time passed, I thought of myself exactly what I told you guys. I thought like, oh, now I can provide solution to some problems. So though I can definitely be hired somewhere, I have like some valuable knowledge now. So what I want you guys to have in mind is that we need to build like three pillars, right? To make this foundation to our way to be a good professional. So it's knowledge that you guys are like looking for on this course, connections, and this is stuff that I was talking with Tyler. It's like the portfolio. The portfolio must be driven. Your resume must be driven to the position you are applying. This is so important, and you have to ask yourself, like, I am able to provide solution for X company or not. And was me. Like I bought this used computer to laptop actually to produce games, like to train code development and coding. And like I bought this one on the marketplace, and I only had on screen, and I did it after the Team Halter Simon, and it was crazy. But I did it. Like this is my first game running, and like it's basically because my hardware wasn't like strong enough, and I couldn't only build like low end games. But I was definitely like improving. I was training my code. I did my first game like alone. So yeah, take the tools you can. If you don't have it, much like as me, we definitely can get there. And with this boot camp opportunity, you get further than me for sure. And after some time, like, so this is my picture of my LinkedIn showing that like my experience. And after some months working a lot and studying a lot, I applied for a lot of positions. And the first opportunity that I had was as the contractor. So guys, sometimes the contractor stuff is a common It's a common practice in the industry, and this is a good way to join the industry, because I think if you can join the industry in any way, like you breathe in the same air as the other developers, other professionals. So this is a good way to be there and show something to them. Like you are already there, you just have to do a good work, and eventually you get like a full-time position or something like this. This is how I did, and I had like this position with all my strength that I could, and like and I thought with myself, like, this is my chance to impress people. Like I need to do something here that you change, like that they will say, no, we need that guy. So basically that's what I did, and it worked. Like in some after time, like I I I was like included in some huge projects, like using Frostbite to make videos, cinematics, using their own engine. So the devs put in me a lot of cool stuff as well. I had like I had the chance to connect with people inside EA that had huge projects in their pockets, and they hey, so I just need the right guy to put this one. And I took everything I could. Of course, I worked a lot before getting like my well deserved like gift. So this is the kind of thing you have to show your skills before you get like your prize. After that, I did a lot of stuff, and now I think I'm getting recognized for all the work, all the struggle that I passed. But it's just a time. You study a lot, you work a lot, but it's going to be paid off eventually. And I think like if you love the game, if you love the industry, you should like you won't have good times only, but I think like if you work with something you love, it's like unbeatable. Like it's so good. It's so good. And that's it. I helped to make this amazing game, and this is like the final word that I want to leave to you guys. So it's basically acquire the needed knowledge the industry is looking for. It's not. It's sometimes we are looking to the knowledge that we want to have. But I think if you want to get employed fast, you should looking for what the industry is looking for. Make connections with the industry stakeholders, university. Like in this boot camp, I would say like this is so important as being a good developer. Like I think it's 50-50. I don't think if everyone will agree with me, but connections is really important. It's really important. I also want to say that the learning journey we will never stop, and it won't stop here. You'll be always learning. The game development is an industry that is crazy. There's always new technologies, our better graphics, our better mechanics, and everything is improving so fast. New coding language, so we won't stop learning. So keep that in mind, that we'll be always studying or learning new things, and especially learning new things with other professionals. The competition is really high, but if you persist, you will find your place under the sun. So this is a race, but it's not a fast race. It's not the fastest guy who will win. It's who you keep running. So keep you running, and you'll get there. Work in projects, contributions, and build a strong portfolio. Like you guys said in the chat, like join game jams, take your opportunity to go to university events like UBC, make people aware of what you're doing. Like share one thing that I think it's amazing is build a LinkedIn and share what you're working on LinkedIn. That's amazing. A lot of people has visibility on that. Learn valuable stuff that people are not willing to learn. This is like a excellent hint that I have to you guys. So if you want like a fast track, do things that people are not willing to do, and like cycle: patience, feedback, improve, work again, have patience, get feedbacks, improve, and work, and you'll definitely get there, guys. I did it, and I believe you guys can do. And with these amazing people around you guys, like having this opportunity to make this boot camp, studying a lot, give you a lot of blood and passion, you guys will get there, guys. Just don't give it up and keep going. So thank you. That's my presentation for you guys today, and I'm really happy to be here. And if you have some tricky questions, save that once for each.
Unmute myself. Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, Vinny. And like I said earlier in the presentation too, Vinny is going to be around. He'll be in the chat here while Rich is presenting. Feel free to interact with him, but we'll also do some Q&A at the end. I can see that the questions tab is filling up really quickly, so we'll do our best to get through as many of these questions as we can at the end, but feel free to interact. So thank you so much, Vinny. I'll invite you back up in probably just about a half an hour or so, and we'll do some Q&A.
Thank you, guys.
Perfect. Thank you, Vini. So let me share my screen again here. Here we go. Guess I don't really need to share it for too long, but I am going to go ahead and introduce the second speaker that we have here for today. So Rich Welsh. Rich is a lead programmer at Ubisoft Toronto. He's been a programmer in the gaming industry for over 18 years, having worked on projects ranging from Prison Tycoon to The Division. For the last 6 years, he's been working at Ubisoft Toronto, where he's presently the lead programmer on the Splinter Cell remake project, which is insane. So without further ado, let's welcome Rich up on stage. And a quick shout out, I can see some people in the chat there. We'll email everybody a recording of this full session afterwards there too. I've got, I see some questions coming through. So welcome, Rich.
Hello, thank you.
Hello. And I'm going to boot myself off stage here, and I will let Rich start his presentation.
All right, awesome. Let me just try and share my screen. There we go. All right. Hello, everyone. I've been invited to come and share my story with you and then give you some tips and tricks on how to get into the gaming industry and hopefully answer any questions that you might have. So first of all, who am I? Why should you listen to me? Don't be alarmed, that photograph, I'm not actually on fire. That is literal smoke and mirrors. I am the lead programmer at Ubisoft Toronto. I'm British and I'm now also Canadian. I recently passed my citizenship. I graduated from Durham University in the UK back in 2007, and I've been in the games industry ever since. That means it's about 18 years as a professional programmer. The majority of my career was spent as an AI programmer. I've also done leadership stuff, and now, like I said, I am a lead programmer at Ubisoft Toronto. So just a quick run through of the titles that I've worked on. There are some there that you may have heard of and some that you haven't, but that's just the nature of games. I'm proud of all of them, and yeah, I'm proud of the game that I'm currently working on as well. So a little bit about Ubisoft really quickly. Ubisoft is a global AAA video game development company. I'm sure you've all heard of it before. We're in 35 countries, 45 studios. We've got 19,000 employees globally. And more than 85% of our teams are dedicated to production. In Canada, we've actually got 7 studios, and each studio does something slightly different. So Toronto, Quebec, and Montreal are all doing game production. Winnipeg and Saguenay are doing support work, so they do on tech tools and R&D. And Halifax mostly does mobile development. Ubisoft Toronto is where I'm based, though. The Ubisoft Toronto studio was established in January 2010. We're one of the first AAA studios to open in Toronto. We have a hybrid workplace policy. So this was obviously brought into effect during COVID. As you can see, this isn't an office. This is actually my living room. But I do go into the office several times a week. It's actually about 5 minutes walk in that direction. Yeah, we try and keep the hybrid policy active as best we can. It means that people have full flexibility with work-life balance. So people who've got kids, people who just want to stay at home, people whose commute was too far, they're all working remotely. People like myself who live nearby and want to see other folks, we pop in every now and again, have our meetings in person, which is quite nice. Some of the things that we're working on. So Ubisoft Toronto is working on a whole bunch of stuff at the minute. So Splinter Cell is the project that I'm currently active in. We are the lead studio for that project. All of these other projects that you can see are things that our studio is co-developing. So we're not the lead studio on those, but we have teams dedicated to helping other studios complete those games. So as you can see, Ubisoft Toronto is quite busy. Can I hide that? There we go, that's better. All right. So I have been asked to share my backstory. My backstory is a little bit unconventional, I would say. I'll try and rattle through it. But yeah, basically, after university, so my whole life, I kind of knew that I wanted to do games. As a little kid, I was making games, noodling about. Went to university to do computer science. After university, I applied to 2 different game studios that were local to me back in the UK. One was a really small studio that was about 10 people big, made small games, and the other was a large AAA studio, made games that I'd heard of before. I ended up interviewing at both of these studios, and I ended up taking the offer from the large AAA studio. I did get offers from both, but the AAA felt like a better trajectory for me to get into the games industry. So I hope you like pictures of cats as well, because there's going to be a few of them. So I turned up at the first day at this large AAA studio, and quite honestly with you, I didn't have a great time. So I had explained as part of the interview that my university hadn't really taught me programming as such, which is pretty wild for someone who wants to be a programmer. They'd taught us more the fundamentals of computer science, and I'd learned a little bit of Java on the side just to kind of, make myself a bit more appealing. So the first task that I was actually given at this AAA studio was to finish writing a tool that took exported model data and rendered subparts of that mesh that didn't conform to various rules in a particular way, so that artists could then validate their models before importing that into the game. The person who'd started writing the tool, they didn't speak fluent English, and they were trying to learn Spanish. So a lot of the comments in the code base were just bad, broken Spanish. I'd never worked in a large code base before, and I hadn't really written any C++ before, and I had no idea what I was doing with rendering technology. I still don't, honestly. I'm a bit better with C++ nowadays, though. So yeah, suffice to say, I didn't really know what I was doing. That particular studio actually had a no talking policy. The department I was in, it was completely silent. You had to use Skype to communicate. So I messaged my boss, I messaged the guy who sat next to me. I was like, I'm struggling here, I don't really know what I'm doing. And they both just kind of said, stiff up a lip, do your best, it'll be okay. So I spent my first day Googling how to program, and then went home feeling a little sad. And after a night of just kind of going, oh, that was a rough first day, it'll be okay, you're just blowing it up in your head. I went back in on the second day and decided, nope, I genuinely had no idea what I was doing. This was like I was out of my depth. So I shot my boss a message and I said, I need help. And his reaction to this was to call a meeting with all of the programmers together. So the meeting starts and he asks the room if anyone has any ideas on how to help me, how I can get better acquainted with the job. No one really has any good suggestions, so eventually he just pulls out this C++ for Dummies book and hands it to me. And he says, read this, you'll be fine. And everyone just left. So at the end of day 2, I kind of find myself sitting in my car, feeling really out of my depth, thumbing through this book, which goes over a lot of core concepts for programming that I kind of already knew. I didn't really think the language was the problem. I'd just kind of been thrown in at the deep end with no support. On day 3, I quit. I quit the games industry. And I returned the book for anyone who's curious about that. So now I was faced with this situation where I had spent my whole childhood and my whole education gearing towards being in games. That had been my dream. That had been my goal. I was like, man, what do I do with my life now? That was what I wanted to do. But I still had bills to pay. So I joined, I took a job at a local bookstore. And as the weeks went by and, time passed, I gradually got over my experience with that company. And I found myself making indie games again on the side, reading development books again on the side, like reading articles online about game development. And I thought, man, maybe I do like it. Maybe it was just a bad experience. Maybe I do like games. I should give this another shot. So I reached back out to that first company, the small one, and said, oh, hey, are there any jobs going? No, they'd filled the position, unfortunately. I have to say, and this is going to become relevant later, but as part of working at the bookstore, I was getting a train in and out of work every day. So I was arriving about 15 minutes early. I was leaving about 15 minutes late every day, just because of how the trains were. So I was doing about 30 minutes worth of extra work every single day. And then one day in the middle of December, I told you there's a lot of cat pictures. I'm walking to the train station. There's this really horrific blizzard. So trains are cancelled. I'm wading through snow. I can barely get to the taxi ranks. And I call up work and I say, "Hey, I'm really sorry, but I'm going to be late." Jump in a taxi, bomb to work. I'm 5 minutes late, straight onto the shop floor. About an hour into my shift, one of my colleagues says, "Oh, the manager really wants to speak to you. Can you pop up to the break room?" So I was like, "Yeah, okay, sure. Why not?" Popped upstairs. And yeah, when I arrive, my manager tells me, "Well, look, Rich, you were 5 minutes late. We want you to skip your lunch break because we think that's fair. You were late. You broke store policy. We don't want to set an example to other employees that it's okay to be late. So we're going to ask you to skip your lunch hour." I just kind of said, "Oh, okay. I feel like that's a little unfair. Can we have a chat in your office?" She's like, "No. Anything you've got to say to me, we can talk about right here." So I was going, "Okay, well, I don't really agree with what you're saying here. I don't think that's particularly fair. I did call ahead. It's natural cause. There was a blizzard. I couldn't really prevent the trains from being stopped. But I do all this extra work. Every single day I'm putting in all this extra time." And she was like, "Don't care. That's what I've decreed." So in front of everyone else, I just say, "Okay, well, that's fine. Every day I'm early. I'll sit in the break room until exactly my shift starts. And every day at the end of my shift, when it's time to go home, I'll put my stuff down, put the books down, even if I'm in the middle of dealing with a customer. Sorry, I'm on the clock, and I'll leave." She didn't take this conversation pretty well. And when I left the break room, she was just sat there muttering herself about whether she could afford to lose one of her members of staff in the lead up to the busy Christmas period. So, yeah. So anyway, my colleagues were pretty sure I was going to be fired. And they decided to take me out drinking that evening as sort of a, commiserations. It was nice knowing you. It's been fun. But while I was out, Virtual Playground actually sent me a text and said, "Oh, hey, the fella who took your job originally, he's moved on. Would you be interested in coming back and applying a second time?" So yeah, I was like, "Why not? Sure. See you tomorrow." So the next morning, I show up at Virtual Playground again. I'm pretty tired. I'm pretty hungover. The first interview I did, I was in a suit, full suit, tie. Do not recommend that, by the way, for games industry. Smart casual at best. This time I turned up, I was in a ratty t-shirt, ratty jeans, looked like I'd been pulled through a hedge backwards. And it's the same two people who are going to interview me as were interviewing me before. So it's the lead programmer and the CEO of the company. So they sit me down in this room and they say, "All right, so what happened then? You went off to this big AAA studio, that's over the road from us. What happened?" And I went, "Oh, I couldn't, turns out I couldn't do the job. couldn't actually do the programming, too hard." And they were like, "Okay, so what have you been doing since then?" I was like, "Oh, I took a job at a bookstore." They're like, "All right, that's fine. And they let you take the day off with a day's notice. I went, "Oh, I called in sick. I'm a bit hungover." And again, the CEO and the lead programmer are going, "So you're not concerned about calling in sick?" And I was like, "No, well, I had a big fight with the boss yesterday, so I'm probably going to lose my job anyway." So these two are just kind of looking at each other as if they're on a prank TV show. Like, what on earth is this kid saying? What's going on? Oh, hang on, I've somehow switched. There we go. The lead programmer turns around and he says, "Someone's switching this. This is not me." There we go. Whoever's pressing that button, it's not me, I promise. The lead programmer turns around and he goes, "Right, we'll have to get this story straight. So you quit your first job after 3 days?" I was like, "Yep." "Because you couldn't program?" "Yep." He went, "You got a job at a bookstore?" "Yep." "Then you had a fight with your boss and you're going to get fired and you took a sick day?" I was like, "Yeah, that's about the long and short of it." And he just says, "So why on earth should we hire you?" And I'll be honest, I was a little bit stumped. I was kind of like, oh, well, that's a really good question. Hadn't thought this one through. So I went, well, Martin, that was his name. I'm not just making that up for flair. I was like, well, Martin, at the very least, you'll know that I'm always going to be honest with you. So anyway, the lead programmer absolutely burst out laughing. His sides are splitting. And he's like, okay, well, this has been very entertaining, but, we'll have to chat about it. Thank you very much for your time. I'm walking out of the business park, and I hadn't even got back to my car before I had a text message from them saying, we absolutely loved your personality. We think you're great. There's a job waiting for you on Monday if you want to come and work for us. And yeah, so from there, I started a virtual playground. I made a bunch of games that no one's ever heard of, but if you have, it's Prison Tycoon and Eco Tycoon. From there, I moved on to Ruffian up in Scotland, where I worked on Crackdown 2. From there, I went to Crytek UK, where I worked on Crysis 2, Crysis 1 for console, Home Run to Revolution. From there, I moved to Massive. I moved to Massive specifically because I wanted to work on The Division. I then transferred to Reflections, continued working on The Division. Then I left to go work with some friends at Foundry 42, where I started working on Star Citizen. Didn't finish, though, because Ubisoft Toronto reached out to me and said, hey, we need an AI developer for Far Cry 6. Would you come and work for us? I ended up as the team lead AI programmer on Far Cry 6, and then on Splinter Cell, I am the lead programmer. So yeah, I know that was a little bit wordy. I'm very, very sorry for how long that took, but that is my backstory. It's a little unconventional, but as you can see, there are many, many different vectors for getting into the games industry. So my current role, what is my current role? What does a lead programmer actually do? So in short, I manage a bunch of different programming departments. So I actually oversee all of Greater Gameplay on Splinter Cell. So I oversee the gameplay team, the AI team, and the UI team. And it looks a little something like this. Basically, I manage the managers and they have their teams beneath them. But yeah, to try and break it down a little bit more, what else do? I oversee all programming on the project. I make a lot of technical decisions on a project level. I manage teams, I've told you that. I build teams, so when we're setting up new projects, I pick and choose who I want on my team. I liaise with a whole bunch of different people for a whole bunch of different reasons. I evaluate the feasibility of features and designs on a technical resource basis. Basically, my job is primarily to make sure the project stays on track and on budget. I resolve disputes between teams or individuals when it comes to people who have conflicting ideas or they can't reach a resolution. I develop training, make sure the team is successful, and basically anything that needs done. What tends to happen with my job is that if we find something that doesn't have an owner, I tend to take it on and own it. So that is what I do. And I know I've talked about myself a whole lot. I apologize for that. But here's the bit that you're all interested in, which is information for you, how to get into games. I do not recommend you go down the same path that I did. So, advice before applying. All students are going to have very, very similar base resumes or CVs. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're distinguishing yourself from the competition. There's a whole bunch of different ways that you can do this. Do game jams, create maps and mods, make indie games in your spare time. Blogging, if there's a game society at your university, do that. Try using a whole bunch of different engines, and as our good friends at Circuit Stream are providing, maybe do a course, because again, things like this set you apart from other students. They give you that opportunity to be different when we're looking at all the students who are applying. And the other general piece of advice before applying is to play a whole bunch of different games. So think about the mechanics that those games have. What makes those games fun? If there's something about a game that you don't think works, what would you do to improve it? So try and get into that mindset of evaluating and assessing games. And you don't have to break the bank to do this. I've said this before, where people have said, like, I can't afford to buy every game that comes out. It's like, yep, nope, totally understand. But play demos, play free games, watch playthroughs on YouTube. Just, again, it's all about having a variety of experience to draw from, especially when you're coming to design decisions. If you have a multitude of sources that you can base your decisions on, it gives you a much more well-rounded decision. And like Vinny was saying earlier, it's, we look for people who provide solutions to problems. So if you're able to provide solutions that you've seen in multiple different games, and offer us the best one, or offer us the pros and cons of them, that's really, really appealing. So next, how do you actually go about applying? First of all, update your LinkedIn profile. You think we don't look at it, but we definitely do look at it. So don't leave that 4 years out of date. We'll go in, we'll be like, what on earth is going on? Next of all, don't be scared. Honestly, hopefully my cautionary tale will let you know that the people who are interviewing you, the people who are being interviewed, are just people. Don't worry about whether you're good enough. If you want to apply for a company, you should go for it, and don't worry about the company being big or small. Like, I started, my first job was in a tiny company. There was only 10 of us. But then I take interns into Ubisoft Toronto, and we're a studio of about 600 or 700 people. So everyone's first studio is going to be different, but just don't be scared. Apply. Next, if there's not an application system, and by that I mean some kind of web form that you're filling in, I would recommend writing a short cover letter or an introductory email. I think I heard Tyler say earlier that one of their courses covers that, or maybe all of their courses cover that, but certainly presenting yourself and giving a little bit of information about yourself, why you like the company that you're applying to, why you're applying to them in particular. It helps us get to know you before we look at your resume. It gives us more of a feeling of who the person is that's applying. Next, basically just find companies and apply. There's not much more to it than that. Whenever I look for a new job, I tend to go to Game Dev Map, and I'll go into what that is in a little minute. But yeah, basically just find companies and apply. If there's no positions listed, feel free to look for a contact email and just apply anyway. So there's no harm in reaching out to companies and say, hey, I'm really interested in applying. I've seen that you don't have any open vacancies on your website, but I'd love to work for you. Can you please let me know if there's a position available that's suitable? Can you please let me know if a position becomes available in the future? Again, just don't hesitate to have those emails. Companies are fine with that. Next, internships are a really, really excellent way to get your foot in the door for a whole multitude of reasons. But basically, when you have an internship with a company, you're building up contacts, and that is super crucial to surviving in the industry. Basically, is having a good network of contacts that you can speak to, and it's a really good way of demonstrating how good you are in person. If you have an internship. And again, yeah, I've just said this, but basically network, and don't hesitate to reach out to any contacts that you do make. So take every networking opportunity, speak to people, add them on LinkedIn. When you're looking for jobs, reach out to people who work at those companies. A lot of companies have referral bonuses, so people are never going to be bothered by you asking if they can help you get into their companies. But certainly, use that networking to your advantage. That's really, really important. So quickly, for anyone who's not used Game Dev Map before, and this is not sponsored, so I'll just whiz through this quickly. This is what it looks like. You can either go to gamedevmap.com or search for Game Dev Map in Google. What you do is you click on one of these little red dots, and it will show you a huge list of developers, and you can see Ubisoft Toronto's there. I must have clicked the Toronto one. Well, hey! If you click on the blue link to the side, it will take you to their web page. And then for us, you can click on Explore Jobs, which takes you to the job opening page. If there's nothing there, and this is advice for any studio, not just Ubisoft Toronto, but if there's nothing there that takes your fancy or you don't feel you're qualified for, look for other ways to contact them and just say, please hire me. I am good. You want me. Don't hesitate to reach out. So next, advice for your interview when you've actually got a job interview lined up. First of all, relax. See? So relaxing. So good interviews for me are conversations. It's really, really important that conversation flows back and forth. So if I ask someone, what's your favorite game? And they go, League of Legends. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, that was great. Thanks. Whereas if they're able to say, this is my favorite game because, or this is the game I've been playing with my friends most recently. Like, try and make it a conversation, a back and forth between you and the interviewer. A good interview should flow. You know, you don't want to give an answer that just stops the flow of conversation. You want to keep that conversation going back and forth. Improv students, I'm told, use the yes and no but system, which means that if you're ever asked a question which is which is a yes or no answer, give them more information. You know, do you like programming? Yes, and here's why. You know, and be honest. I mean, if you take anything away from my talk today, is that honesty will get you quite far in the games industry. You know, you have to trust one another in the games industry. It is a very high pressure job at times, and knowing that you can trust your colleagues is vital. So yeah, honestly, in interviews, and good advice for life, just be honest, but definitely in interviews. Once you're in the interview, think about game projects that you've worked on. Again, talk them up. You know, if you've made an indie game, if you've worked on a game jam, talk about them. Find a way to fit them into the conversation somewhere, because we love to hear about that stuff. And honestly, most people I talk to who've worked on those things love to talk about it. And I get more out of those kind of interviews than I do when someone turns up and rattles off a list of qualifications that they have. I love hearing about the challenges people faced in their game jams. You know, the refactoring they did, the features that they made which didn't work out, and what they did to change it. You know, how they made their games fun. Think about the different things about games that excite you. The video games industry is very, very broad. This is very tailored towards programming because I'm a programmer, but it can be the same for design as well. When you go into an interview, in your mind, you should think about the things that you enjoy. Certainly turning up to somewhere and saying, like, I like all of design. It's like, yeah, cool. Like, thanks. You know, whereas if you can say, no, I love puzzle building, you know, or I love creating worlds that people can explore. I love that open world, you know. Again, it gives us more of a picture of who you are, and it lets us tailor our interview to who you are. But it also makes us, it kind of gives us that feeling of whether you're going to fit with our projects or not. Because if someone turns up to me and says, God, I love, you know, violence, it's the best, and I'm interviewing for some kind of Tetris game, you know, it's like, this might not work out. But at least we can have a conversation about it, you know, and I can find out whether this person still would be a good fit or not. Same sort of thing. That's really a bit of a waste of a line in the slideshow, but think about the areas of programming that interest you. There's a lot of them for programming, you know, UI, AI, physics, audio, rendering, there's tons. Brush up on your fundamentals. There's nothing more embarrassing, and I can honestly say that I've been caught by this myself as an interviewer, an interviewee, is when you turn up to an interview, you're asked a very basic question about your craft, and you just don't know the answer. You know, so for programming, you want to make sure that you know things like game systems, entity component systems, you know, basic programming math that you might be asked, questions about object orientation. But yeah, certainly don't go into an interview ill-prepared, because if someone asks you a question, it's not the interviewer that's going to suffer. Because usually what happens when I ask a question, I'll ask a candidate, do you know what the dot product is? And they don't know the answer. I just go, okay, cool, we'll move on. That candidate is now stressing out for the rest of that interview. And as an interviewer, my job is then to spend the next 5 minutes trying to calm them back down again. You know, I break out that picture of the cats, you know, relax. Because no one wants a stressed candidate in an interview. You're not going to perform your best. So really, it's for your benefit, not the interviewers. Because we don't mind if you get questions wrong. It's not a problem. Think about what kind of games you enjoy playing. What do you enjoy about them? What would you change about them? These are things that I tend to ask when I'm in an interview, especially with people who are fresh to the games industry. You know, it's like, have they kind of engaged with that creative mindset about what makes a good game and how can they contribute towards a good game? You know, if they come in to say, I love playing League of Legends because it gives me the opportunity to play with my friends. Cool, it's a good answer. You know, it gives me the opportunity to strategize, even better. You know, there's 150 different characters, so it means I can vary up my playstyle. It's like, cool, this is all good. If someone turns up and says, I like Fortnite because it means that I can beat 7-year-olds at a shooting game, it's like, less good, you know. So have a good think about what it is that you enjoy about games. And lastly, again, this is for your benefit, not mine, but have 1 or 2 questions ready at the end of your interview. So either have questions ready, because we always give like 5 or 10 minutes, which says, do you have any questions for me? And the amount of times I conduct an interview and the interviewer stammers and they get nervous, they start sweating, crying uncontrollably, I've got to console them. And it's like, you can say, hey, you answered all my questions, it's fine. Can I reach out if I do have any questions? Or have some questions prepared just so you don't get nervous. And again, it's all about being relaxed, stay in control of your interview. You're the one who should be driving it. And common questions that you can ask are things like, what's the work-life balance at the studio? What's the overtime policies? Like, how is crunch a thing? What size are the teams? What's the average time it would take to complete a project? That kind of stuff. Education, resources, that kind of stuff. And also, you're allowed to ask, how long until I hear back from this interview? These are all things that you're allowed to ask. And then advice after you've applied. It's other than go and sit in your car and panic sweat. Don't be afraid to reach back out to us. We're just human. It's fine. But don't pester. If you message us too much, it gets a little bit annoying. If you've been given a time frame, I would recommend waiting until the day after. So if they say a week, wait until the next Monday. If they say 2 weeks, again, like the day after. If they haven't given you, oh no, I've jumped ahead of myself. If no time frame was given, I would roughly recommend waiting 2 weeks and then just sending a polite email. It's always fine to send a polite email just saying, hey, I applied a couple of weeks ago. I was just wondering if there'd been any updates on my application. That's totally okay. So don't be afraid to do that. And if you do receive an offer, take your time to think about it. You don't need to sign the same second you get the offer. They will usually tell you how long you have to sign. Depending on the company, you may need to move. I live in Canada now, so I had to move from the UK for this particular job. But if you're in the process of speaking with multiple companies, you might want to assess your options. Again, I know it's very tempting to just like panic scribble as soon as you get the first offer. But take your time, take a breath, leave it until the next morning, discuss it with your friends. You just need to make that decision with a cool head, not in the excited moment of getting that email. And if you don't receive an offer, that's fine. That does happen. I've been subject to that plenty of times. You're allowed to ask for feedback. Some companies might not give you any though. But don't hesitate to just say, hey, thank you very much for your time. Can I please get some feedback so that I'm a more appealing candidate next time? And similarly, you're also able to say, hey, I really want to come and work for you still. When would be appropriate for me to apply again? I'll go and work on myself. When would you recommend that I resubmit my application? That's also totally fine. Now for me, as a hiring manager, what am I looking for? And again, I apologize to anyone who's not a programmer, but this is very programmer based. I'm looking for good programming skills. I'm hiring programmers, so obviously I want my programmers to have good programming skills. We primarily work in C++ at Ubisoft, so I do look for C++ skills. Other studios may use C#. The thing between these two languages, these are the big two that most studios will use. You can usually jump between one and the other quite quickly. C# and C++ are very, very, very similar languages. My old lead used to describe it as the difference being syntactic sugar, which basically just means that the keywords are slightly different. Obviously, C++ has pointers, but if you know object orientation and you can build an application in C#, you're going to be able to pick up C++ within a few weeks. But again, be honest with your interviewer. Have that discussion with them. You don't want to be, well, you don't want to do what I did and turn up at your first job and be like, I don't have a clue what I'm doing. So if you set those expectations as part of the interview, they'll know what they're getting going in. But again, you can say to them, hey, I know C#, but I reckon I can brush up on C++ within a couple of weeks. Don't let that deter you from hiring me. Object orientation is very, very important for a programmer. Definitely know that. Gameplay math, same sort of thing. gameplay systems. Sorry, we've been over this before. The fundamentals of game engineering. And then this point is this person passionate about making games? It's super, super important. The industry is a hard industry. You know, it is a tough industry. There's days when you're ecstatic. There's days when you're less ecstatic. You know, your feature's just been cut, or, you know, your game has been delayed. If you're passionate and all your colleagues are passionate, it's an incredible environment to work in. If you're less passionate, there are certainly other programming jobs out there which have less stress on you day to day. But the thing about making games is that it's fun. And, you know, I love it. I wouldn't trade it for anything. But you really need to have that passion and show that passion in your interview. And yeah, as part of hiring, I want to see, is this person curious? Can they learn? Do they want to learn? You know, I've turned down people who've shown up who've been absolute rock stars because they had no interest in evolving. You know, whereas I've taken underdogs who are really interested in education. They asked a lot of questions in their interview. They wanted to better themselves. And those people have become rising stars on my team. You know, that passion for knowledge, that passion to learn and evolve is super, super important to me as a hiring manager. And communication skills. Communication, and again, this goes back to the back and forth of the interview. That's where you get to display your communication skills. But it's super critical that you're able to communicate clearly. You know, can't say more than that. If I did, I'd probably be showing off my terrible communication skills. So yeah, just to quickly recap on this, what am I looking for as a hiring manager? Technical skills, passion, and communication, good communication skills. These are the three things that I'm actively always looking for. In fact, when I do an interview with people, I have these three things written on a pad, and as people are talking to me, I'll make notes under each of those three sections so that at the end of the interview, I know, you know, have they first of all hit all three of those criteria, and second of all, how good are they at each one of these different areas. And then I'm going to be really, really quick, I promise. I know I've taken up a lot of time, but Ubisoft Toronto have asked me to do some hiring opportunity stuff with you today. So I'm going to quickly go over some of the ways that we hire into our studio. First of all, we have a competition called Next. Next is a competition for graduates, and basically the winners of this competition get a guaranteed internship with Ubisoft Toronto. Here's a bunch of stuff. The presentation is recorded. Review it at your leisure. Here's the different disciplines. You can see there's a whole bunch of them. I review the programming track for Ubisoft Next. I'm one of the judges for that. It's a great, it's basically a weekend-long game jam for the programming teams. Highly, highly recommend everyone do Next. Even if you aren't interested in Ubisoft, Next gives you a framework, a very structured framework to try and make a game within that amount of time. And then you can take that and show it off to other companies and say, this is something that I worked on. This is a game jam that I attended. Again, it sets you apart from other candidates, you know, but it's a very structured competition. So again, even if Ubisoft is not where you want to go, I would still recommend giving this a go, just so it's something you've done, you know. For more information, search for Ubisoft Next or go back and watch the recording and get the hyperlink. We also have Develop at Ubisoft. Develop at Ubisoft is very, very similar to Ubisoft Next, except that it is aimed towards emerging talent who identify as women, transgender, non-binary, and or two-spirited people. And basically, it's to allow these people to have a safe space to try this competition. You know, it's to encourage them to get them into games as well. We only have 2 tracks at the minute. Again, I'm part of the programming track for Develop at Ubisoft. I'm one of the judges there. It's fantastic. Both Develop and Next are amazing. I would highly, highly recommend them both. We have a lot of people at Ubisoft Toronto who were interns through these programs and are still with us today. You know, they came on as interns because they were winners. They stuck with us because they liked working with us. They liked the projects that we're doing. And honestly, pretty much all of the winners that I've had from Next and Develop on my teams have been incredible. These are really, really good competitions. And lastly, if you just go to Ubisoft Toronto's website, you can look for jobs there as well. I went over this before, and again, I'm sure you all know how to use the internet, otherwise you wouldn't be here. So if you do want to look at jobs at Ubisoft Toronto, just go to that website or type in Ubisoft jobs. You will find our job page. And that's it. I know I've taken a really, really long time. I'm very, very sorry, Tyler, but thank you all for your attention. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out or write them in the chat.
Absolutely no apologies needed, Rich. That was amazing. Both the presentations today are amazing. You can see just in the chat right now is popping off like crazy following this. So thank you, thank you, thank you. What I'll say, similar to when Vinny finished here, if anybody has any questions for either of the two speakers, I'm going to invite them back up on stage in just a couple minutes here. We'll go through as many of them as we can. I previewed the questions tab a moment ago, and there is a lot of questions in there. So we will do our best to go through as many of those as we can in just a few minutes. For now, Rich, I'll boot you back off the stage here, and I'll invite you back up. But thank you. That was unbelievable. So let me share my screen here again. There we go. Everybody can see my screen again there. Awesome. So before I jump in and invite them up on stage, like I said, I'd like to take a moment here and share some information on the coursing, the pricing, the upcoming cohort dates, if that is okay with everybody. I'll go ahead and cue this up here. So I know I mentioned earlier in the presentation that we have a November special promotion currently available. It is 'tis the season. It's Black Friday month. It's November's deal month. So Circuit Stream, it's no different. So through the partnerships with the university, the promotion for 15% off would be available for all 4 of these courses. So just to remind you, it would be the 10-week XR development with Unity course, the 10-week XR interaction design and prototyping course, and then a little bit more based on today's presentation topic, the 30-week Unreal game design bootcamp and the 30-week Unity game development bootcamp. Just to clarify there as well, the development bootcamp is going to primarily use Unity and C# as the coding language. Obviously, everybody heard during this presentation here that the C coding languages are quite similar. You're able to transfer. So that's what we work with. And then on the design bootcamp, we work predominantly with the Unreal game engine to teach to game design. So these are the courses here. This is the courses that the promotion would be available for. And then in terms of the actual pricing for the courses, everything that you guys can see on the left would be the standard pricing. So for the 10-week XR packages, we actually have starter and plus packages. The plus package comes with additional support. The admissions team can provide way more details, more specifics on that. I can connect you with the admissions team if you have any questions there. But the standard pricing would be the $3,995 or the $4,995 for the 2 different packages on the 10-week courses. And then the 30-week game development and game design boot camps are both priced the same at $14,995. With the 15% off, obviously, this is the pricing now on the right in the orange box here. So it's quite a bit lower. The game development bootcamp is over $2,000 off with this promo. So it's a really good promo. I'm not 100% sure if we have seats available for the upcoming cohorts here. The best thing I can do is provide the links in the chat here and encourage everybody to book a quick meeting with the team if you're interested. I know there was also some questions previously in the chat here about payment plans. We do have financing options available. So many of our students pay off their courses on a monthly payment plan while they're going through here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the links in the chat right now for everybody. These are just the standard meeting links for all 3 of the universities. So these should work here. So U of T, UBC, and U of A, everyone can see those 3 links. This is basically if you just have any questions about the courses, about the payment plans, about the promotion, about the start dates, any of that, the admissions team can go through that with you. And I think I mentioned it too, but these promotions are available until the end of this month. So the end of November 30th. So in terms of the upcoming cohort start dates, all the cohorts typically run every few months. For the XR development and design courses, they're both going to start March 18th and run straight through to May 23rd. Those will be the next dates that we have available. And then for the Game Development Bootcamp and the Game Design Bootcamp, they are both going to begin on February 13th and run straight through to September 5th. So again, I'm not 100% sure that we have seats available for all of these courses. Click those links, book a meeting, reach out to us here at Circuit Stream, and we can absolutely confirm and let you know what that's looking like. If you do have any questions about the courses or just in general, this is some general contact information. You can always reach out to us at this 1-800 number, or you can simply just email admissions@circuitstream.com and then just let us know which university it is that you are interested in taking the course through, and we will connect you and make sure that goes through the right process there. So that's it. That is the whole presentation here. I just want to make sure everyone was armed with the course information, the upcoming start dates, kind of how to go through this. My email, I can see in the chat there, my email is tyler@circuitstream.com. Very, very easy. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. If I can't answer it, I'm certainly not as qualified as some of the admissions people, but I can absolutely point you in the right direction. So I am going to go ahead and I'm going to close this presentation. I'm going to invite both of our lovely speakers back up on stage here. And like I said before, I know that the questions tab has popped off during this presentation. We have a lot of questions to go through. So I don't know if we'll be able to hit them all today. We will do our absolute best. And between the three of us, more so between these two, because they're much more qualified to answer these questions than I am. But we'll do our best to kind of get through these as quickly as we can. And all of this, including the presentations, the stats on both of their slides, and including this Q&A portion, will all be included in the recording. So you'll get all of this afterwards. So I'll start at the bottom here. This one's very easy for me, I guess. My students would like to know what your favorite video game is. I have lots of favorite video games. I could go with the obvious and say Fortnite because I like shooting 7-year-olds apparently, but yeah. I do. Fortnite probably is mine. I consider myself a senior Fortnite player. But everything, any types of games, honestly, I play everything Mario. I think there's a new Mario RPG game that just came out that I'm excited to play with. Sports games. I grew up playing, skateboarding and Tony Hawk and just, tons of different games. So I'm into everything basically, but probably Fortnite shooting 7-year-olds. Do we offer any training on game art creation? I think there's probably some included in the design course that we have available through UFT and UBC. But just to get more specific information on that, I mean, actually, the best thing you can do is click the links that I shared at the beginning of this presentation with the syllabus downloads. And I'm going to send out an email to everybody following the event here today with the syllabus downloads as well. So feel free to click and have a good look through. It'll give you a full breakdown of the courses, and it'll let you know if it's going to cover game art in the design course and kind of more specifically what it would cover in terms of game art there. So. Is the Canadian game industry reliant on tax incentives like the film industry? Do either of you know the answer to that question?
I'm not sure.
I wouldn't say we're reliant on tax incentives. We do get tax breaks. I don't know how super relevant this is to people breaking into games, but something that we can do in Ontario is any work that we do that's considered research and development, we can actually get reimbursed from the Canadian government. So what we do on our projects is if we do something new, we create some new tech, we find a new way to interface hardware in some kind of way. We write a technical documentation. It's like a scientific research paper. We send that to the Canadian government. If they consider that it's valuable research, they will refund us the cost of the staff salaries for the development of that research. So we do get some tax breaks in those kind of ways. It's different from province to province, though. I know that Montreal does get bigger tax breaks than we do, which is why there's a lot of game studios up in Montreal compared to Ontario. But I don't know the specifics of that province.
Yeah, so hopefully that helped answer there. If you have any more questions on that, you can always reach out to our team too. And our admissions people can probably dig a little bit further into that and give you more information there. So what is the length of a game industry contract? I'm sure we probably all have the same answer here, but in my experience, they can absolutely vary. We have We have the pitch day that we run at the end of our game development and design boot camps, for example. And we've had students during those pitch days presenting the game projects that they created during the course, and then they receive contract offers right away. Some of those contracts last for a couple of months. Some of them last for a couple of weeks. It really kind of depends on the scope of the project. But does that seem about accurate to you guys too? Does that sound right? So.
Yeah, like I saw, it depends. Like if you're a contractor, sometimes it's like 1 year, it's less from 1 year. And if you are a full-time employee, it can be permanent or 3 years, 5 years, it depends.
Totally. Perfect. Well, let me jump into the next one here. This is going to be more for you guys, I think. Having some experience with marketing, UI, UX, writing low code. How do I approach getting into gaming as a semi-professional trying to switch streams?
I thought you were going to answer, Vinny. You're unmuted.
Oh, sorry.
I can go. It depends on what it is that you want to get into. So if you have experiences with marketing, UX, UI, you might, design is a good option. We have UX and UI teams that you could join. We actually have marketing teams as well in the games industry. The trailers that we put together, all the trade shows that we do, our marketing teams handle a lot of that stuff. If you're more interested in getting into art or code, then you would really need to just polish those skills, work on those particular skills for the job that you're applying to. I can't give you any general advice, unfortunately, without knowing what it is that you would like to pursue in the games industry. But certainly, as Vinny's demonstrated, you are able to get into the games industry without having spent your entire life moving towards that goal.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm nodding and Vinny's nodding, so I think we all agree with that one there. That's perfect. And if I want to work in game dev or design in the US, is that a possibility? Absolutely. I mean, you're not working in the same country you started, Rich. No.
Neither's Vinny.
Neither's Vinny, actually. Yeah. I guess.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely a possibility. It depends on the company that you're working for. It's needed if they want to move to the United States. For example, EA is an American company that has some studios in Canada and over the world, like Ubisoft. It depends on the job, right? Richard is moving all the time, right, Rich?
Yeah.
As the project needs. So.
No, that's right. It's I can say that I worked at Ubisoft Sweden, moved to Ubisoft UK. While I was there, I met people in the UK who moved to Ubisoft California, moved to Ubisoft Toronto. There's people that I've run into in Toronto who started in Sweden and they've moved internationally. If you get into a big studio like EA or like Ubisoft, you can usually do some sort of internal transfer. But you can also, once you have a bit more experience, just apply and move to the America for a job. I don't know the specifics about Canadians, unfortunately, because I've only recently got my citizenship. But as a European, to move to the US for a job, you have to demonstrate that you are basically an industry expert, and that it's more beneficial to the company hiring you from a foreign country than it is hiring someone local. So for me, as a junior in the UK, I wouldn't have been able to move to the UK. After about 5 years experience, it wouldn't have been a problem to move to the US. And I saw a lot of my friends after their 5-year anniversary in the games industry move to America or Canada.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think you can get sponsored or supported by the company that hires you as well, which makes the process quite a bit easier. A lot of our hiring partners and company partners are actually located in the US. A lot of the contract positions that our students have received, whether they're in the US or in Canada, may have come from US indie companies and game studios as well. So that's, kind of answering a little bit on that side, but more so what Rich said there in terms of, kind of officially applying and moving over when you get into a big company. So we've gotten ahead of some of these questions and answered some of them in advance, which is cool here. I think some of our team is on the back end. One question was about the bootcamp start dates. I shared those with you just a moment ago, and those will be in the recording when everybody gets sent that afterwards here. Is there financial assistance? Are these courses, boot camps eligible for student loans? I'll put this one up here as well. So that's what I was mentioning. We do have finance options available. The admissions folks or the admissions folks at the universities and through CircuitStream will be able to provide a lot more detailed information there. But absolutely, you don't have to pay for our courses up front. There's payment plans available. I don't know about student loans. I know there's a certain threshold for course cost within Canada that would qualify you for actual student loans. So we can look into that too. But at the very least, there's certainly finance options available for everybody. Let's see. I'm under 18. Are there any courses I can take? I'm just going to shout that one out really quickly. We did answer it, but through CircuitStream, we are actually offering, and it's going to be through UBC and through UFT. We're going to be offering summer camps and after school programs for people who are a little bit younger, who are looking to break into the industry as well. So if you are younger and you have any questions about that, just follow the links, just reach out and connect with somebody on the team here, and we will definitely let you know when the upcoming cohorts and those will take off. I believe they're all online now, but we might be doing some in-person classes at both UFT and UBC starting next summer, which is very exciting. So let's see here. I'm just going to try and get through as many of these as I can. Lost my spot here. How available are internships? This is kind of an open question, I guess. It would really depend. I know Rich shared a bunch of information on the internships through Ubisoft. Probably, they have the certain programs that make internship opportunities available on an annual basis. If you go through those programs, I'm assuming those are probably annual programs. Hey, Rich? Yeah. So those would be available, but then outside of that, there's probably just a million different opportunities for internships depending on the studio size and kind of what they're looking for.
And just email and ask.
Totally. Yeah, I think that was one of my favorite pieces of advice you gave. If there's no job posting on the website, just go to the contact form and literally find and just reach out and show your qualifications and just ask the question. It never hurts. So let me see here. I'm going to try and go. I can see a bunch of these have been answered. How likely is it let me put this one up. How likely is a graduate will find a job in following this course given the state of the industry and having to compete against all the senior people who have been laid off this year alone? So I know. Obviously, there was a bit of a boom, I think, through COVID too. I don't know if that's accurate or not in terms of hiring. And obviously, we're seeing some layoffs now too. But I've chatted. I've gone to a lot of conferences, and I've spoken to a lot of people in the industry. There does seem to be some senior people getting laid off, but there also seems to be just an amazing amount of opportunity in the industry from everybody that I'm talking to. So, but maybe I'll let you guys weigh in on that as well.
This one is tricky, right? In my opinion, we are talking about different positions here. Like if you're like a senior guy, right, Rich, gets fired, he will obviously looking for a senior position, right? If you're trying to join the industry right now, we're talking about some junior positions. So basically, of course, you don't have a chance to compete with a dude like Rich. But if you're looking for junior positions, we are not requiring all the skills that a senior professional have, because it's just unfair to compete with that. So I think we have room for everyone.
Yeah, I agree with Vinny. We'd like to have a balance. So you can't just top load your team with seniors, because it'll be super expensive to develop a game that way. Similarly, you can't build a team with all juniors, because you don't have the experience to know how to finish a game. Basically, that comes with having been taught that on the job from seniors. So we tend to try and keep a balance of seniors and juniors on the team. So as seniors leave, we'll try and recruit more seniors. But usually, before we recruit externally, we try and promote internally. So if we don't have constant juniors coming in and being trained, we don't have the opportunity to promote people internally. And by promoting internally, you're building the foundation of your studio. You're keeping a lot of that knowledge and building on that knowledge, rather than having to retrain someone over and over and over every time you get a new senior. So yeah, there's certainly a lot of opportunities for juniors in the industry.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean that's kind of the feedback that I've been receiving as well. But you both just worded it a lot better than I was trying to there. So that's thank you. That's amazing. And so again, there's so many questions here. I do apologize if I'm going to end up missing a bunch. I'm sure as we go through here, I'm just going to try and grab as many as I can as we go through. I think this one's applicable for both of you here. Since you switched streams from very different career paths, or I guess. Yeah, I guess it would be for both of you there. What would be one of the biggest challenges you've ever had to overcome?
I believe it's acquiring like new skills and knowledge that I like because I had like 30 years when I switched to IT, and I knew a lot of stuff before, right? So, but for other like professional or other professions, other positions, and it's like this challenge to be always learning a new thing. It's sometimes it's like it's like a really consuming, and I got tired a lot of times because I knew that I had a lot of stuff to learn. And when you learn things, you realize that you don't know enough, and you want like more and more, and like, oh, this is more complex than I thought. Like, so I will spend more hours on that. So it's this kind of endless pursuing for knowledge. This stuff is sometimes it can be really frustrating. So this is really challenging for me.
For me, so I've been a programmer basically since I was a little kid, and I switched into management. And the biggest challenge for me, honestly, was not doing programming anymore. So becoming a team lead, I still wanted to get in there and fix things and do things. I don't know if anyone's noticed, but I'm quite talkative. So I had that element down. But when it came to giving work over and trusting my team and just saying, hey, here's a bug that I can definitely fix, but you do it. That was the real challenge for me, was learning to accept my new role in the company, accept that what I was doing was helping the project in a different way, and not being as directly involved with the programming anymore. That was actually really hard. So.
Awesome, amazing. Thank you both. Let me see here. Okay, we've got a bunch of ones that have been answered here. Just trying to see if there's anything. Vinny's answered that one. Here we go. What advice would you give to... oh, I just lost that question. I'm sorry. Richard, here's one. Let's see here. Richard, Rich. He prefers Rich, if that's okay. What were the challenges you faced in your initial gaming career when you decided to choose this industry, and how did you overcome it? I love your story.
I have to be very careful because otherwise I'll be here all night. So let's have a look. What were the challenges I faced in my initial gaming career? Well, my first challenge was I wasn't good at programming. I started when I was really, really young, making games in Macromedia Director, which eventually became Adobe Flash and then eventually disappeared. Just for the sake of people who are watching this in 20 or 30 years' time on the recording and being like, what's he talking about? Not knowing how to do C++ was a huge challenge for me. I had to work really hard. I had to learn a lot. I had to be very humble. One of the biggest challenges, actually, it's just jumping to mind now. I used to sit, because it was in Virtual Playground, there was 9.5 of us, because one guy only worked mornings. 2 CEOs and 3.5 programmers. So I sat next to the lead programmer. I sat next to another lad called Paul Angus, who eventually moved to Argentina, I think, to teach English. And then James Rutherford sat behind me, and he eventually moved on to make websites. While I was sat next to the lead programmer, as a junior, a lot of the time he'd be saying things to me, and I'd just be going, yeah, nodding along a lot of the time. And one day he literally just said to me, like, you don't understand, do you? And I just looked shocked, because the whole time I'd just been like, nodding along and saying yes this whole time. And I was like, honestly, Martin, no, I don't understand. And he was saying, it's okay. As a junior, you don't have to know everything. We're not going to fire you for not knowing something. You don't have to pretend like you know the answer to everything. It's perfectly okay to just say, I don't get it. That was one of the biggest things. Like that conversation I had with him on that day has changed the way that I approached my career. Because I went from being this junior who was like terrified that I was going to get spat out at any time for not knowing an answer, to being someone who could say, hey, I don't know that answer, but I want to know that answer. Can you tell me how to learn? Can you teach me? Can you recommend me a book? And I took off from that day, because it went from me being like, honestly, very ignorant and naive, to having this whole wealth of knowledge unlocked, by being able to say, yeah, I don't get it. So that was probably the biggest challenge, might be the wrong way, but it's certainly something that stood out to me. In terms of what I like and dislike about my job and career, I love the people I work with. Like, this is the big thing about games for me, is that people are super passionate. They love what they do. I come into work, I don't have to wear a suit, but I come into work and I'm like, oh, has anyone seen the latest episode of Arcane? And everyone has seen the latest episode of Arcane. I can literally grab a coffee with anyone and they're happy to chat with me about it. Like, Invincible's on at the minute. I have to be really careful when I go into the office because I've not seen it yet and everyone's talking about it. So it's like, I love that I can nerd out with all the people I work with. And we're so proud of what we do. Like, every time we have a demo, or every time we put out a trailer, everyone goes wild. Like, we love what we do. And it's that I really love about my career. The stuff that I dislike about my job, I mean, for me as a manager, I miss programming. I've said that already. But you can get some people who will take advantage of you. It's not as much of a problem nowadays, and like, no one wants to talk about crunch culture. We've been very, very fortunate in the last few years that a lot of people have called out crunch culture, and the industry as a whole is moving away from that. They're moving to correct that. It's very much a 90s Silicon Valley mentality. And certainly as a manager, it's something that I push against very strongly. I don't, I'll be perfectly honest with everyone in the chat. If my team crunches, I have to crunch. I'm really lazy. I don't want to have to crunch. So I encourage my team not to do overtime, because it makes my life harder. So I do dislike that element of the games industry. I do dislike, and another thing that I dislike, if you ever work on a game, don't go to Reddit and read the comments. It's not worth your time ever. Doesn't matter how good your game is. It's just learn to just high five your colleagues and call it a day. Don't go to Reddit.
That's good advice. That's good advice. Thank you. And I'm just scrolling through here and I'm trying to grab a few of the ones that have some upticks here. This one you guys might be able to assist with. How do I get an internship if I'm not in school? So if somebody's not in a course currently right now, would they still be applicable for the internships through Ubisoft, for example?
So I'll let Vinny answer this after I've had a quick word. But my advice for anyone looking for internships is just email companies and just say, hey, I'm looking for an internship. Do you offer internships? We offer several different internships. So we have one which is the prize from Next and Develop. We have a few internships which we have relationships with particular universities. So we'll do co-devs for them. And we do, when we need additional staff, just open for general purpose internships anyway. Use your networking. So like, if you know people, reach out to them and just say, hey, is your company looking for an internship? Could I apply? That's the best way of doing it. It doesn't matter whether you're in school or not. Obviously, like with the ones where we have a connection with U of T, like you're going to have to be a part of U of T. But for general purpose internships, just reach out to companies and just say, hey, I'm looking for an internship. What have I got? And I'll let Vinny chip in as well on this one.
Oh, I agree. Like the companies has like a internship schedule like every year, so keep it tracking on them, keeping looking for this company's website where you can get an internship and what were the requirements. And yeah, that's like a look and apply and connect with people and do your best, right?
So basically, they're available. You don't necessarily have to be a student. Basically, if you've got the skill sets and you want to apply for an internship, whether you're in a course, not in a course, just do it. And our advice is to apply to all of them and see what you can get out of it. The more work you do, the more you have to build and put on your resume, which is amazing. So there's a question on here. Richard, can you get me into Ubisoft? I always laugh when I see those questions.
You can send your resume in, and I'll see if it lines up with any of our vacancies.
Hey, it never hurts to ask, right? That's what we just told them. So
there is no overtime there. I want to work with Rich again.
Yeah. Here's another one. How common are permanently remote positions in game programming? Are studios pushing in person now, or would there still be opportunity to work full remote positions?
So this is a complicated question. Oh, it's not a complicated question, but the answer is going to be long-winded. But that's just me. Sorry. In Europe, they're encouraging everyone to go back to the office. So across the board, one sec. Across the board, they're trying to get everyone back in the offices in Europe, not just in games, but in all kinds of tech industries. So if you're looking for a European studio that's permanently remote, which I assume most of you aren't, there's less and less opportunities now. In North America and in Australia and stuff, there's still a lot of permanent remote positions. The industry over COVID found that we were able to work reasonably effectively, not full 100% effective as in studio, but close enough that most studios are willing to take that minor performance hit to allow the flexibility of people working from home. So for example, certainly in my studio, we have people who are full-time permanent remote, and that's helped with our retention because, it's expensive living downtown Toronto. Like a lot of people with families don't want to live downtown Toronto. So they've moved further afield in Ontario and they work full-time remote. What I would recommend when you do this is speak to the hiring team as part of your application and get it in writing what it is. Because what you don't want to do, and I don't think any companies do this intentionally, but should the market shift and people start encouraging you to come back to the studio, you want to have it in your contract or in your writing that you have a full-time remote position, if that's what interested you. Because otherwise, if your contract says, should we switch back to in person, you'll have to come in, then you find yourself with a difficult decision of, do I ask my boss if I can continue working remotely, which, might be fine. Do I move or do I commute, So yeah, it's one of those things where I would say in North America, certainly there's tons and tons of permanent remote positions still available. That doesn't look like it's going to change anytime soon. I can't say that's always going to be the future. I certainly hope it is because I have some incredible people on my team who live in Barrie, live in Niagara. They wouldn't move back to Toronto if we ever change that policy. So I personally hope that it's going to stay. But who knows what the future is going to bring.
Shout out Niagara. That's where I'm from originally. Yeah, and I saw you nodding as he was chatting there. Vini, would you agree with that as well?
Yeah, of course. I think we're all the same boat.
Perfect. I mean, and I work in the industry. I'm not a game developer, game designer myself, but in my role, I work in a hybrid role. I work from the office 3 days a week, and I work from this home office 2 days a week as well. So my home office just being my living room. So amazing. And this is a cool question too. How do I get involved in game jams? One of the best things you can ask, honestly, because it's the coolest way to get experience. I'll just answer really quick on Circuit Stream side. We do run game jams. We have one on the go right now. So if anybody's interested in joining that or participating, just reach out with the book a meeting link that I said before. Connect with our team and just ask how you can get involved in the current game jams. That's through Circuit Stream, but I'll let you guys provide some info there too.
If Circuit Stream are running game jams, that's a great opportunity. I go to a game jam called Ludum Dare. You can just search for that online. There's also Global Game Jam. There's loads. There's about 10 or 12 that I hear fairly frequently. Ludum Dare and the Global Game Jam are the two big ones that I hear about. But if you just type Game Jam, or like Game Jam 2023, 2024, see what comes up. Most of them aren't going to charge you unless it's like an in-person game jam where you take your laptop and actually go there. A lot of them are online. And yeah, I would just highly, highly, highly recommend game jams. They're a really good way of, building something, getting that experience, and then having something to talk about in an interview.
Absolutely. Perfect. All right, let me see if I can get onto some other ones here. I'm trying to be mindful of the time. I'll see if we can wrap this session here probably in the next 10 minutes or so, just to keep it within the 2-hour mark for today. I think we were saying somewhere between an hour and a half to 2 hours. So we're still on time technically here. So I have, let me see here. I have an interactive resume site with videos, demos, and other stuff. Is that appreciated by a studio or is it largely ignored? That's a great question. It's been very successful in getting me non-game dev and design jobs, but I don't know where the rest of that one is, but it's probably, we can kind of fill in the pieces here for the rest of this here. So yeah. Vinny, do you have any advice on an interactive resume?
I think for the resume, you should keep it simple, but with links that we can click and go directly to your portfolio page or your videos and everything. So because it goes under filters sometimes, and like if these filters are not getting the information easily, you get like dropped on the first page, and that is definitely not good for you. But you definitely should have videos and demos and heals and everything you did. Like I did a lot of heals of the games that I made, but I usually like to upload them to a small account on YouTube, and I put a link in my resume. Or when I had like a portfolio page, I have the links for the videos if the devs want to see. One for the GitHub with the coding, so Rich can, he did it, but where is the code? Oh, okay, he did it. There is on the GitHub, and he can see that I did the code. I really did the code. So I think that's the important thing. Easy links to your resume should be easily linked to the page, but I don't think like a sample of the video itself on the resume would help.
Yeah, I agree with Vinny here. The way that it works when I have an interview coming up is that I get an email from our HR team. They attach the resume to the email, and then I can read through the resume. So if your resume is a website, if you don't have a resume that's like a PDF or a Word document, that makes it trickier for me to read. I will still read it, but it makes it might mean that HR take longer to filter it because they will be trying to pull the relevant information out. In terms of interactive videos, demos, that kind of stuff, yeah, absolutely. Every time I get a candidate who has videos like YouTube links or demos or GitHubs, I go and look through all of them. And I will often ask questions in the interview about these things. My advice is if you don't want to put all your code or source files online on GitHub or ArtStation or whatever, if you do videos or pictures or whatnot, tell us what it is that you contributed to it. Obviously, if you did the whole thing, that's fine. But if you're an artist and you made the mailboxes and then you show us a fly-through of a city, we're going to assume that you've made all of that. So it's better to just be like, hey, this is the part of the game that I made in this video.
Absolutely. Yeah, the biggest takeaway I always hear from everybody is just have examples, have demos, have things to share, and then as clearly and concisely display it. But yeah, just add some links in. If you have your own separate page, it's amazing. Just try and link it out so that it's the resume itself is still readable and it's not convoluted and all over the place. So Let's see here. If you have specific requirements, like for low vision, bigger scale on text, UI, elements that will affect your workflow, when is the best time to address that during the interview?
So you can, with Ubisoft, you can bring that up with the, we have two phases. You'll speak to our HR team first, and they just get a general like brief off of you, what you're applying for, what your rough skills are, and then they pass that to a hiring manager like myself. You can tell HR, that's fine. You can also tell a hiring manager. My understanding is that in Ontario, disabilities is a protected thing. So if you tell me that you need a bigger scale text UI, it's not going to impact your chances of getting a job whatsoever. In fact, it would be illegal of me to discriminate against someone who had accessibility requirements like that. So you shouldn't worry about that stuff. I mean, you can tell us about that stuff. It's not going to affect your interview, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, there'll be no negative impact on that. That's very normal. So. And then there's been a couple questions here. I wanted to put this one up. Do you need a college degree for programming, or can we accept certificates for courses for programming? That's a great question. I mean, the course that we're offering through the universities, for example, is a certificate course. But we are also not, we're not basically saying you're going to go through this 6-month course and be hired as the top, engineer or top programmer of Ubisoft or EA games tomorrow. Like these are positions you're obviously going to have to work towards. There are absolutely a ton of positions available for students going through with certificate courses like this, in internships, in early career opportunities. Or if you're working in a studio, if you can get your foot in the door in some other other avenues like Vini had mentioned previously as well. Those are all ways to kind of get your foot in the door. And I can see you're both nodding, but I'll let you guys weigh in on this one too. Whoever wants to go first.
Oh, that's basically my life. Like I didn't have like any degree in computer science or something like this, engineer, and what like my bosses want to know now if I can't solve that stuff. And yeah, like I definitely struggle way more than people who had the opportunity to attend a university or get in a boot camp course, because they could learn the things driven to the job itself. But we always can learn some, especially like I think IT is very democratic stuff to learn, right? Like the devs and the developers are always sharing the knowledge and everything about coding and all this stuff. So I don't think that's a brick wall to get in these positions. I also agree with Tyler. This is like your foot on the door, right? Like if you get in a boot camp, you'll be in the industry. The rest is up to you. So I think that's my opinion about it.
Yeah, and I'm actually the opposite of Vinny. I did have a degree for computer science, but it did not help me whatsoever with regards to my first job, or both of them. I would say that if you don't have, like, having a degree helps with your resume because it means that people look at it and it helps you get noticed easier. But if you don't have a degree, having a demo, having something that you can show and demonstrate your abilities is more than fine. I'm not going to turn a candidate away just because they don't have a degree if they say, look at this amazing thing that I made.
Amazing. Perfect. And that mirrors the exact same feedback that I get at conferences, when I'm connecting with studios, when I'm reaching out to potential new hiring partners and career partners, just, companies to invite to our student pitch day to look at their projects. I'm always very cautious. I like to let them know the level of education that the students in this presentation will have and what their skill sets will be. And it's always welcomed by the big studios, the small studios. Everybody's just looking at the skill sets basically more than the technical certification that you get through the course sometimes. So, it like Rich said, it might get your eyes on it sometimes a little bit sooner, but realistically, you could have 5 people with qualified degrees and no examples of their work, and then one person with amazing examples of their work, and the studio's probably going to look at them more. So, so we're at 1 minute left here. I'm just going to try and pick one more question from the pile here. I do apologize. Yeah, I do apologize. There's so many questions here. There's no way I'm going to be able to get to all of these. So let me see here. What are your tips? We've done that one. I guess which is easier to learn? I guess that's asking between development and design. Vini, you're also working on the NBA 2K. Are you working on NBA 2K, Vini?
No, 2K is another studio. Like I work for Madden and the EFC.
Trying to get everyone's questions answered and just shout them out here as I go through here. But
no worries.
I think some of these have been reposted too, because I'm seeing some of them come back up again. So some people might have submitted the same questions a couple times. Vinny, did you have a contact email in your presentation? People were looking to connect with you there. So if you want to share that in the chat, feel free to, or your LinkedIn, or your LinkedIn too, whatever you're comfortable with in terms of people reaching out to you there. Are CAD modeling skills transferable? Yes.
No. No. I could be very verbose, but it's not super helpful.
Perfect. I remember taking CAD way back. Here we go. This is a good final question. I'll pick this one just because it's talking about coding languages here. So, and there's a couple upvotes on it already. So is C a necessity for the industry? I'm more familiar with Java and Python personally.
So there's 3 C's. There's just C, there's C++, and there's C#. Java is very, very similar to C#. They're incredibly similar. So if you know Java, you can probably step straight into C# without with like maybe a week's worth of just looking stuff up online. C++ and C# are very, very similar as well. C# handles garbage collection and stuff like that. C++ doesn't, so you have to be much better with your memory stuff. C++ has pointers, C# doesn't. This stuff is all quite easy to learn though. I would say Java and C# are easy to hop between, and C# and C++ are easy to hop between. So you're not screwing yourself out of a job by knowing Java, but you will have a little bit more of an incline because you're going to have to do like one of those intermediary steps. That being said, there are some studios that do develop in Java. Java tends to be better for more web things or online-based things. So I believe it was RuneScape is written in Java, if anyone remembers that. And there's a bunch of online web companies which do look for Java, but C++ is probably for AAA games, C++ is probably what everyone's using. And then for smaller indie or 2D games, C# is what most people are using. I would say those two between them probably cover 90% of the industry, if not more. So, yep, you're not screwing yourself with Java, but you will probably have to step into C# at some point.
Awesome. Perfect. And so we'll leave that one as the final question. I mean, there's tons on here. If any of us played the Five Nights at Freddy game, the new ones, do we have any thoughts on that? Do we still enjoy gaming after working in the industry? Does it kill the fun out of games?
We love game. If I didn't still love games, I wouldn't be doing this. I'd be working at a bank. There's way more money in finance,
It's true. And then this last one here, would you say that your 30-week bootcamp would be able to get you into a beginner-ready job at a studio? We just kind of touched on that a moment ago as well. Just want everyone to kind of feel like I'm trying my best to hit all these questions here, but absolutely, there's opportunities for you. There'll be more senior level opportunities for you after you have more years of experience and kind of have that under your belt. But the 30-week bootcamp that we offer will give you all the fundamentals of C#, of game development, and then it'll also arm you with tools for networking, for getting yourself prepared for interviews and all of that as well. So that's it. I'm going to stop there, or else we're just going to chat for the next 3 hours if we don't. So I'll say thank you so much for everybody for joining this presentation today. This was unbelievable. Both of our speakers, thank you so much, Rich and Vinny, for taking the time to share your advice. It's incredibly valuable. I'm sure everyone in here has a million notes and a million things that they're going to take away from this. So thank you so much. There's lots of emojis coming through here at the same time, lots of chat. And thank you everyone for joining. Pay attention to circuitstream.com for upcoming events, or just check out through the university partners, UFT, U of A, and UBC, and we'll let you know. And I'm definitely going to invite both of these gentlemen back for future events. They're both unbelievable. So look for them in the future as well, hopefully. And on that note, thank you so much. Everybody have an amazing day. All right. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day, guys.
Bye.